All right, let's just jump right in. If your B2B commerce program feels more like a black hole for money than a real game changer, well, you've come to the right place. We're about to unpack exactly why these massive projects spin out into total chaos, and more importantly, how you can actually get back in the driver's seat.
Wow, that really just sets the stage, doesn't it? It's a feeling I bet a lot of you know all too well. You've poured a ton of money into this thing, but what you're getting back is just frustration, not the efficiency you were sold. And the real kicker, the heart of the problem, it's that simple fact. There's no single person, no one in charge of the entire ecosystem.
And this right here, this slide just perfectly nails that massive disconnect. Look on the left. That's the dream, right? That's the beautiful PowerPoint deck that got everyone nodding and excited. But then you look at the right. That's the painful day-to-day reality. Instead of that awesome competitive advantage, you're stuck refereeing a cold war between your own teams and trying to dodge those awkward ROI questions from the CFO. Sound familiar?
Okay, so let's start by just admitting what's happening. Let's validate what you're probably feeling every single day. In this first part, we're going to dive deep into the symptoms of this B2B commerce nightmare. We're going to see what a failing program actually looks and feels like in the real world. So, be honest. Does any of this sound familiar? I have a feeling a few of these are hitting a little too close to home for some of you. Think about it. When your own sales team, the people who are supposed to be the biggest fans of this new system, are actively avoiding it and sticking to their old spreadsheets, man, you have a huge problem. And this isn't just about bad tech, it's way deeper. It's a total breakdown of trust and alignment across the entire organization.
Okay, so we've seen all the symptoms, right? The pain is real. But what's the actual disease? Let's make a hard pivot now, from talking about the pain points to uncovering the root cause. Because I'm willing to bet it's not what you think.
It's so easy to start pointing fingers when projects go sideways. So who's the real enemy here? Is it the developers? Is it the platform you spent a fortune on? Maybe it's that agency that promised you the world. Let's just pause for a second and really think about that.
Well, here's the hard truth. It's not your developers, it's not your platform, and it's probably not even your budget. These are the usual suspects, right? They're the scapegoats. And while any one of them might have its own issues, they are not the fundamental reason your multi-million-dollar investment is on fire. The real enemy? It's something way more subtle and a lot more systemic. And here it is. We're calling it the governance gap. Now, what's so powerful about this definition is that it frames the problem perfectly. The enemy isn't a person or a piece of software. It's a vacuum. It's this empty space between your big strategy and what actually gets done day to day. It is literally where accountability goes to die. And it's the black hole where millions of your dollars are vanishing into endless rework, painful delays, and a final product that's just a shadow of what it was supposed to be. I absolutely love this metaphor because it's just so perfect. The real problem is that you're trying to orchestrate a symphony without a conductor. Think about that. You've got all these talented musicians, your developers, your product teams, your sales folks. You've got incredibly expensive instruments, your ERP, your CPQ, all the tech. But with absolutely no one on the podium setting the tempo, making sure everyone's playing from the same sheet of music, all you get is just expensive, chaotic noise. Okay, so if a lack of a conductor, a lack of governance is the problem, what's the solution? How do we fix this? Well, that brings us to what we call the 4 pillars of governance. In this next part, we're literally going to build the framework you need to bridge that gap and finally turn all that chaos into a coherent, successful program. Look, real governance isn't about adding more meetings to everyone's calendar. Nobody wants that. It's about having crystal clear, consistent answers to these 4 fundamental questions. Seriously, ask yourself, can you answer these right now? If you can't, you have a governance gap. It's really that simple. These questions force clarity and alignment right where all that destructive ambiguity is living right now. And here are the pillars that give you those answers. It's a simple, powerful structure. First, you start with concrete business outcomes, not fuzzy, vague goals. Then you create an architecture blueprint. This is the map for your entire system. Third, you establish clear decision rights, so everyone knows who makes the final call when there's a conflict. And finally, you put in place control mechanisms to manage change because change is inevitable. And if you don't have these pillars, well, you get exactly the chaos we started with. You get that messy web of brittle, point-to-point integrations that break if someone sneezes. You get those endless tug-of-war meetings between departments. And you end up with a final product that's just a series of compromises that makes nobody happy. So let's be clear. These pillars aren't just some nice-to-haves. They are the absolute foundation of a program that actually works. All right, let's get super practical now. A framework sounds great on a slide, but how does this actually apply to that alphabet soup of systems you're trying to manage every single day? In this next section, we're going to map out what an architecture for sanity really looks like. First up, the big one, your ERP. Let's be really clear about its job. It's the system of record. It's the single source of truth for all your financial data, your inventory, and fulfillment. What is it not? It is not the place to run your customer experience. Good governance, good architecture, puts a really clean boundary around the ERP and just exposes its data through services, period. Okay, next up, your CPQ, your Configure, Price, Quote system. This thing is the brains, right? It's the engine for all your complex pricing and configuration logic. But, and this is a huge but, it cannot operate in its own little silo. It has to be connected to the ground truth living in your ERP, things like actual lead times and manufacturing capacity. Because let's face it, a quote you can't actually fulfill isn't just useless, it's damaging. And then there's your PIM, or Product Information Management System. Folks, this is just non-negotiable in today's world. It has to be the one, the only, the single source of truth for all your product data. From this central hub, that clean, consistent content flows out to your dealer portal, to your website, to your sales PDFs, everywhere. No exceptions. And finally, we have the dealer portal. This is where the magic happens. This is where it all comes together for the user. It's not just a pretty face. It's the conductor of the user experience. It's the tool that orchestrates a smooth, coherent workflow by pulling data and logic from all those other well-defined, well-behaved systems. And this slide, this is so critical. It shows the night and day difference in how these systems should talk to each other. Over on the left, that's the nightmare. That's the fragile, brittle spaghetti code that keeps your developers up at night, where one little change breaks 3 other things. But on the right, that's a modern API-first mindset. It's about creating clean, clear contracts between your systems. This makes your entire architecture decoupled, resilient, and actually able to handle change without falling apart. Okay, we've defined the problem, the chaos, the governance gap. We've outlined the solution, the 4 pillars, and a sane architecture. So the big question is, how do you actually get from here to there? In our final section, we're going to lay out a clear, actionable path to take you from chaos to control. So a framework is great, but a framework on its own doesn't do anything. It needs an engine. And that's where a concept like PMO-as-a-Service comes into play. Now, this isn't just about hiring someone to take notes in meetings. This is active, hands-on, operational governance. Think of it as hiring a vendor-neutral conductor whose only job is to make sure all the different musicians, your internal teams, your external vendors, are playing in perfect harmony day in and day out. And here's how you can actually start that journey. It's a measured step-by-step process. You don't have to boil the ocean. You begin with a simple commerce health check to just assess the damage and see where you really stand. From there, you can define a clear architecture strategy, design the governance framework that's right for you, and finally, execute with that PMO-style delivery. It's a logical progression, not some terrifying Big Bang rewrite. And maybe the best part of all of this? You don't have to tear everything down and start over from scratch. The journey back to sanity can begin with one single, manageable step, a commerce health check. This gives you a clear diagnosis and, most importantly, a prioritized fix list, so you can start making a real impact right away on the things that matter most. And that really leaves us with the ultimate question. I want you to take a hard, honest look at your own program. Is your B2B commerce investment actually creating that competitive advantage you were promised? Or has it just become a source of really expensive chaos? The path to control is clear. It starts with you deciding you're done listening to the noise and you're finally ready to make some music.